I want to begin today by speaking to one person, and I hope you will forgive me if that person is you. You are sitting somewhere quiet, perhaps with a cup of something warm beside you, and you are listening to my voice, and inside your chest there is a small, heavy thought that you have carried for years. The thought says, "This is beautiful, but it is probably too late for me." Perhaps you are 45, or 58, or 67, or 73. Perhaps you learned a little English long ago at school, and then life arrived with all its work, and its children, and its bills, and its long, tired evenings, and the English quietly slipped away. And now, when you meet a young person who speaks 3 languages easily, something in you closes a little, and you say to yourself, "They can do it because they are young, and my time for that has passed." My friend, I want to sit with you for a moment inside that thought, and then very gently I want to take it apart, piece by piece, because I have spent more than 40 years teaching this language to human beings of every possible age, and I can tell you with my whole heart that this thought is not a fact. It is a story, a very old and very common story, and it has stopped more good people from learning English than any grammar rule ever has. My name is John. I am 71 years old, and today I would like to give you your years back. Before we begin, welcome to English Listening Lab, the calm little corner of the internet where we slow everything down so that your mind finally has the time and the peace it needs to truly absorb the language. There is no rush here, no pressure, and no test at the end. Only you, my voice, and the quiet joy of learning something well. If you enjoy this lesson, please take one small moment to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because every single week I share a new, slow, and clear English lesson designed to help you listen better, speak with more confidence, and grow one word at a time. Now let us begin with the famous belief, the one everybody repeats, that children learn languages easily and adults do not. Here is what people have never told you about it. When researchers compare children and adults learning a new language in the same conditions, giving them the same hours and the same materials, the adults very often learn faster in the beginning, sometimes far faster, because they can understand explanations, see patterns, and use what they already know about how language works. The one place where young children hold a real advantage is in the fine details of accent. That is the honest picture. So where did the story come from? It came from watching children who moved to a new country, and after 2 or 3 years, those children spoke beautifully while their parents still struggled. But look closely at what those 2 lives actually contained. The child was placed inside the language for 30 hours a week, surrounded by other children, forced to speak in order to play and belong, corrected constantly and gently, with no fear of looking foolish, and no other responsibility in the world. The parents were working long hours in a job that did not require the language, going home exhausted, speaking their own language at home, and feeling ashamed to make mistakes in front of strangers. That is not a difference of age. It is a difference of hours and fear. Now let me speak about memory, because this is where most adults judge themselves most harshly. You tell me, John, I read a list of 20 words in the evening, and by the morning, 15 of them are gone. And when I was young, I could remember everything. My friend, two things are true here, and both of them help you. The first is that your memory has changed shape rather than simply weakened. A young mind is very good at holding raw material with no meaning attached, which is why children can memorize long lists and strange sounds so easily. An older mind has become a builder, and it holds on to whatever it can connect to something it already knows, and it lets go of whatever floats alone with no connection. So a list of 20 unconnected words is exactly the food your memory now refuses, while a word you meet inside a story, attached to a picture, a feeling, a memory of your own life, will stay for years. This is not a weakness. It is a completely different and very powerful way of learning, and it means the method must change, not the person. And the second truth is that you now have decades of life to connect things to. When a 20-year-old learns the word grief or patience or responsibility, they attach it to almost nothing. When you learn those words, they connect immediately to real people you have loved and real years you have lived. And words that are attached to a life do not disappear. So please stop comparing your memory to the memory you had at 18 and start giving your memory the kind of food it now wants, which is meaning, context, stories, and repetition. And now, let me tell you what you have that no child possesses, because this is the part nobody ever says out loud. You have patience, and patience is the single strongest force in language learning. A young person wants results this month and gives up in April. You have already lived long enough to know that anything worth having takes years, and that knowledge alone puts you ahead of most learners on earth. You have discipline because you have kept jobs, raised families, cared for people who depended on you, and shown up on mornings when you did not feel like showing up. And language learning asks for exactly that kind of quiet daily faithfulness. You know yourself, so you already know whether you learn better in the early morning or the late evening, whether you need silence or movement, whether you like stories or facts. And a young learner spends years discovering those things about themselves. You have a reason, a real one, not a school requirement, but something that genuinely matters to you, whether that is a grandchild who speaks English, a book you have always wanted to read in its own language, a country you dream of walking through, or simply the private wish to prove something to yourself. And a real reason will carry you through years when motivation is thin. And you have something to say, which is perhaps the greatest gift of all, because you have lived through decades of experience. And when you finally speak English, you will not be speaking about nothing. Now let me also free you from the accent worry, because it stops so many people. Fluency and accent are two entirely separate things. Fluency means expressing your thoughts comfortably and being understood. Accent is simply the music of where you come from. Some of the most brilliant English speakers I have ever known have carried a strong accent all their lives, and it never once slowed them down. Because nobody in a real conversation is grading your vowels. They are listening for your meaning, and your accent is not a mistake to be erased. It is a part of your history that you carry with you. So let me give you 4 practical habits that make learning English much easier at this stage of life. The first is little and often, because your memory now builds through repetition across time rather than through long, heavy sessions. 15 honest minutes every single day will take you far past 3 exhausting hours on a Sunday. And it fits into a real life instead of fighting against it. The second is to attach the language to your own life. So instead of studying abstract lists, learn the English for the things you actually touch and think about every day. The words of your kitchen, your work, your garden, your health, your family, your memories. Because words connected to your real world stay in a way that words on a page never will. The third is to listen to the same things many times rather than always chasing something new. Since repetition is how an adult ear builds comfort and confidence. And each time you return to the same episode, you will find that a little more of it has quietly become yours. And the fourth is to protect your confidence like something fragile and precious. Because at this age, the real danger is almost never the difficulty of the grammar. It is one bad moment in front of a stranger that makes you decide to stop. So speak first with kind people, or with nobody at all, alone in your own room, until the speaking itself stops frightening you. So let us gather everything together quietly and warmly. Today we learned that the belief that only the young can learn a language is not the simple fact everyone repeats, and that adults often learn faster in the beginning, with accent being the only true advantage of childhood. We learned that children who succeed abroad are not winning because of their age, but because of their hours and their fearlessness, and that both of those are things you can choose. We learned that your memory has not weakened, but changed shape, and that it now wants meaning and connection instead of empty lists, which is a strength and not a loss. We learned that you carry patience, discipline, self-knowledge, a real reason and a lifetime of things to say, and that no 20-year-old owns those. We learned that your accent is your history and not your failure. And we learned 4 habits: little and often, connect the language to your own life, repeat the same material many times, and protect your confidence above everything else. So here is what I ask of you this week, and it is very small. Give English 15 minutes a day, every day, and each time that old voice says you are too late, answer it out loud with one simple English sentence about your day. Because that sentence is the proof, and the voice has no reply to it. In our next episode, I will show you exactly how to build those 15 minutes into a daily habit that never breaks, and why 15 honest minutes truly can beat 3 long hours of study. The small daily rule that quietly changes everything. You do not want to miss it, so please subscribe to English Listening Lab right now and turn on the notification bell so a new lesson finds you every week. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. This is John from English Listening Lab. Keep listening, keep growing, and remember, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today.